Hey guys, this is Woodshop Junkies, and in today's video I want to test out a locking and alignment mechanism for a modular workbench I'm busy designing. Okay, so if you've been following my channel for some time, you would know that my first big build was my ultimate all-in-one woodworking workstation, which was designed for a single garage and to house all my most used tools and equipment and allow me to use them without them clashing or restricting each other's uses. And then on that note, just quickly, I still get daily emails from people asking for plans for this bench since I took it off of my website due to technical issues. I have since then been building a new website to sell plans, and the bench is available there. I will post a link down below. Just keep in mind that the website is still very much under construction, so there's not a lot of content besides the bench and a few other plans. But if you are looking for the plans, they are up, they are available, and I will link it in the description of this video. Since building this bench, I think it was about 4 years ago, it really has been the cornerstone of my little workshop and allowed me to maximize machines like my little contractor's table saw. But when I built it, I was renting and I was unable to use the walls in my workshop to store things like I am now. Since buying my own place, a lot of the smalls have shifted onto the walls, freeing up space in the bench. That's why I think it's time for a redesign and a whole new version of the all-in-one woodworking workstation. The new bench is going to be very similar to the existing bench, except the biggest change, it's going to be modular. It's going to exist out of 4 smaller benches that can lock together to extend each other's functionality. For example, locking one of the benches to the back of the table saw will act as an outfeed support, or locking the benches together on their side can create one long bench for the miter saw. Making my current bench modular is not a new idea. I've been talking about it for a long time, but the mechanism that would allow me to align these benches when I lock them together was what was keeping up the build. I was considering a few designs because these need to fit together in a way that would perfectly align the top of the benches, or else you would lose quality or accuracy on the workpiece. It also needs to merge and unmerge fairly quickly. A system where you would have to bolt these benches together would be slow, and it really wouldn't fit in with the vision I have for this design. After considering many different mechanisms, I think I may have found one which is beautifully simple and will allow me to achieve what I want to achieve. So to test it out, I'm going to make the housings for 2 small shop trolleys that will actually form part of my ultimate space saver for small workspaces. But this will be a great idea or a great opportunity to test the idea and see if it will mesh the benches together in a way I hope it will. Right, so at this point these trolleys don't really have any other function besides giving me the ability to test this idea or this concept. So I'm just going to slap them together using some OSB because at this stage it is the most affordable option. And because the trolley assembly is not all that important for this mechanism, I'm going to try and speed through it as quick as possible so we can get to the important stuff. For quick assemblies, I generally go with a doweling solution because this keeps all the components in place, allowing me to add either screws or clamps to give the glue a second to cure. So as I said earlier, for the purpose of this video, I'm really just making a housing for this trolley, which consists mostly of what you see in this picture right now. I am going to add a top to it and some trim pieces, but the additional things like drawers or cabinets will be added in a different video. Okay, so now I've got these two small trolleys that will ultimately form part of this project. But for the purpose of this video, I know due to the scale it might be difficult, but I would like you to envision it as two workbenches or two large tool trolleys. The one could possibly be a miter saw trolley and the other one a dust collector trolley. The dust collector will obviously be used on its own or with tools all over the workshop. But when I add it to the miter saw station, it provides dust collection and also overhang support. But for the overhang support, it needs to be perfectly lined up with the top of the miter saw. Okay, so now for how I hope to achieve this. I'm going to add positives and negatives to the trim pieces on the trolleys and benches. When they are moved together, the benches, these positives and negatives will marry, preventing vertical movement of individual units. I considered various options and shapes to create these positives and negatives, but in the end either a rectangular or round shape would give me the best results, because when the benches aren't exactly on the same level, these would act as lead ends, bringing them onto the same plane. For me, the easiest to mimic is a circle. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to create these rounded cutouts in the trim pieces on the units using my router. These are going to create the negatives. Then at strategic points into these negatives, I'm going to install a pipe with the same radius. When they are brought together, they will marry and prevent any vertical movement. I will be honest, this is probably not going to be the best looking solution, but as I said, its beauty is in its simplicity. And my bench is going to be designed for maximum functionality. If I have to sacrifice a little bit on cosmetics, so be it. Before I jump in on the trim pieces, I'm quickly adding some MDF tops to the two trolleys. Some of you are probably wondering why I am so determined to have an alignment system for my modular workbench. Well, as I said earlier, if the tops aren't perfectly aligned or flat when I lock the benches together, I'm going to lose quality on the workpiece. Now the floor in my workshop, it's not exactly flat or level, and even if it was, there's always going to be dust and debris on the floor that can throw the level of the workbenches out. Now these units are going to be locked together on their side, so I am adding these side trim pieces first so I can add the males and females or positives and negatives before going on with the rest of the build. Okay, so now I've got side trim pieces installed at the base and top of each unit. Into these I'm going to make my rounded cutouts now with a radius of about 8 millimeters or 5/16 I think it is, using my router. These are going to create the negatives. Later, into some of these I'll install a pipe with the same radius to create the positives. Yeah, I was a little bit over-eager trying to make the cutout in a single pass, and because of that the quality of the cutout wasn't fantastic. So after realizing my mistake, I started stepping the cutout for a better quality cut. For the positives, I'm going to install aluminium pipe into the cutouts. I'm attaching these pipes using screws, so to drill a center hole through the width of the pipe I'm using a very basic jig. And to allow me to add the screws through the pipe, I'm drilling an oversized hole at the one side. Okay, so as you can see, I've got the males or the positives installed at the top right and bottom left of each panel. If I turn the unit around, you'll see once again top right, bottom left. When the panels are reversed or facing each other, the males and females or positives and negatives will line up. So when I move them together, they should mesh together like Legos. The nice thing is I can have as many of these little trolleys as I want, and I can use them together in a variety of arrangements. So before I actually test it, I'm going to add some trim pieces and add some toggle latches to lock them together. In this case, the front and back trim pieces are mostly cosmetic, but when I do my all-in-one workbench, I'm going to want to be able to lock the units together along the back side of the trolley as well, or at the back side of the bench. So I'm going to add positives and negatives there as well. For the locking mechanism, I'm going to use basic toggle latches, which is not the most discreet option, but right now it's the quickest, easiest and most likely to work. Okay, so the mechanism is basically complete and ready to be tested, but before I do, I just quickly once again want to run through what I hope to achieve. So each unit is going to have an arrangement of positives and negatives installed into the trim pieces at the top and the bottom. When two units are brought together, the positives and negatives will merge, bringing the units into alignment and allowing me to lock them together with the toggle latches. This means that even if the floor is not 100% level or there is dirt or dust on the floor causing the trolleys to sit at different heights, the rounded surface on the pipe will act as a lead-in, bringing them into alignment before I lock them together. When they are locked together, the toggle latches will simply keep the units together, while the pipe will actually be the component bearing the load of the trolleys and whatever is placed on top. Okay, so it looks like the mechanism does what it's intended to. It keeps the two units together, aligns it quite nicely, and it seems to be quite strong. But it has another big advantage, which I'm going to get to next. So besides using this mechanism to lock benches together, I can also use it to add extensions or expansions to individual benches. So for example, if I'm doing something that's creating a lot of waste, I can have a unit that attaches to the side of the bench that can hold a garbage bag so I can dump everything or all the waste I'm generating. When I'm finished, I can remove it and take it away. So to test this theory, I made these two expansion units that I want to install between these benches and see how it works out. Okay guys, so the mechanism definitely works, and in terms of my modular workbench, I think this mechanism is going to be a game changer. So obviously, as I said, the trolleys aren't finished because they form part of a completely different build, but I was able to test the concept and the concept works. So now I can jump in with version 2 of my ultimate all-in-one woodworking workstation. At this point, I would love to hear what you guys have to say. What do you think of the overall project? And do you think I should consider a more discreet locking mechanism than the toggle latches? If you do, what would you suggest? Now guys, I am still working on going full-time with my channel, so if you want to support me in achieving this goal, a like and a comment goes a long way. You can also check out my under construction plans website, my brand related merch storefront, or my Amazon storefront. All the relevant links will be down below in the description of this video. Then to end off, if you aren't subscribed yet, you should do that now so you don't miss out on version 2 of my all-in-one woodworking workstation when I start posting the videos. For now, however, thank you so much for watching. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Till next time, cheers.